Real Madrid won, Al Hilal won. Kiyan Sobhani is here outside Hard Rock Stadium for you guys. Should I make a joke and say that this is therapy session number 3000? Is this a therapy session? Look, Madridistas are hurting. They've been hurting for a long time, and I think everyone was so excited to see Xabi ball, the new era, the first game under Xabi Alonso. We're going to light it up. Al Hilal is going to get torched. That obviously didn't happen. So what happens in these situations where we didn't get necessarily the football we wanted to see and we were so excited for it? Well, I come in and I give you guys therapy, or at least I try to. So here are my 2 cents on this, because I was among you guys. I was on that side of the fence of being excited, even though it's just the Club World Cup, even though the tournament has been kind of boring so far. There was so much excitement that I had because of all the questions that we have that are unanswered, of like, where does Bellingham play? Is Arda Güler going to have a role? How is Vinny and Mbappe going to get integrated together? Obviously, Mbappe couldn't play today because of the fever. Dean House and Trent, how does this all work? How does this all click? Build up, progression, pressing. We had so many questions, so little answers, but a lot of excitement heading into it. And we didn't really see a game that lived up to the hype. So let me try to expand on what happened, or at least my view of it. And actually, more irrelevant is my view is more relevant, actually. It's just one personal opinion. It's just one personal assessment. I think Thibaut Courtois put it in an interesting way after the game. I don't know if you guys saw it, but, Courtois is not a fan or a journalist. He's literally a player in the squad, and he's been the player in the squad for years. And he's pretty well known for being brutally honest in these situations. And he said, look, we cannot in 4 days get rid of Ancelotti's automatisms that have been instilled in us. This is fresh. And I think that when you come in with a completely new ideology, a new way of viewing the game, you want to play a different brand of football. To come in and do that in just one game is extremely difficult to do, especially if the manager before you had a different separate ideology, and you need to get rid of some of those kinks. You need to introduce new things. And also keep in mind that this is not the beginning of a new season. This is not the start of a new season. This is literally a continuation of last season, technically speaking. You come to Miami, you have a bunch of new people in the squad, and you're getting to know everyone. You've trained for 4 intensive days in the heat. You come here, and this is, some people are going to say, well, that's an excuse. Everybody's playing in the heat, and I get that. That is true. So it's not really an excuse in that sense. But I was thinking about this pretty much all day. I've been walking in the Miami sun all day, just walking steps. And pretty much all of us kind of had to do that because the way this stadium is situated, you got to go from this gate to that gate. And it's not like straightforward that you just go to your seat. You got to do a lot of walking. And it was tough. It was genuinely difficult. I can't imagine playing through that. And Xabi Alonso did touch on that in the post-game press conference. Like, it was hot. We had to make subs, and it wasn't easy to sustain rhythm and try to implement some of the stuff we did want to implement. That being said, I think it is challenging to come in and implement a new system from day one. And Xabi Alonso said before the game that what he wants to see is progression throughout the tournament. And I think we're going to get that. I really do. There was improvement from the first half to the second half. That was pretty clear to see. Both Courtois and Alonso spoke about this. It was more control, more possession. I can't remember if I mentioned this already in the podcast today or if I was just mentioning to someone else, but I was really impressed with Dean Housen. So let me go through it. Because again, analyzing Xabi Alonso after one game, or even 2-3 games, or after the entire tournament, or after even the first month of the season, is difficult to do. And we can't jump to conclusions. We can only analyze what we see. So let me give you my very premature thoughts based on this one game. First and foremost, I think it's a pretty pressing issue that Vinny has been so out of form for so long. And my hope is, you roll up and you look at this game and it's just one game. But the reality is he's been for months a shell of himself. And funny enough, he only had, I think, 13, 14, 15 touches in the first half. He had 13 after 45 minutes. So he was very uninvolved. He had the least amount of touches on the field of any Real Madrid player, less than Courtois, less than Gonzalo Garcia, who was great. We'll get to that. he got involved a little bit more in the second half, but the limited time he did get on the ball, his decision making was really poor. His passing was really poor. His dribbling was really poor. He looks like a player who's zapped of confidence right now. And I think the difference between this Vinny and Vinny of years past is like games like this where the ball goes to him on the wing and you're a little bit struggling to create offense. He was the cheat code. He raises your offensive ceiling. And I think he's been so far removed from that version of Vinny for a few months now. Real Madrid just need him to rediscover himself. I think that it goes without saying. We tend to look to the stars and the superstars to lift the team. And so that's why, in part, we're a little bit more critical of those guys, is because you need them to step up in those moments. And I think Vidi just really needs to rediscover himself for his own sake, for the team's sake. You know, Xabi Alonso needs him. His team needs him. So that was my first thing right off the bat. I think Vinicius really needs to step up his game. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with him, but his confidence looks zapped. The second point I want to make, as I just try to get a little bit out of the sun here. There we go. Gonzalo Garcia, excellent. I'm really, really impressed with him. I think what's cool about him is that he's not a traditional target striker, but he is so strong in the box and he can get on the ends of difficult crosses and match them with high degree of difficulty headers. And it's really impressive because, again, he's not like this 7-foot behemoth, but he's just so strong physically. He has high IQ. His hold-up play is excellent. I know on the goal he scored, it was that weird, awkward double touch and not a great finish, some luck involved. But if you look at the play leading up to it, look at his ability to hold it up, to dribble, to make the right pass, and then the off-ball run. He has high IQ. He has high hold-up ability, really strong link-up ability. He's a good striker, and he provides you a target in the box. And keep in mind, this guy is, statistically speaking, probably the greatest striker in Castilla history at that Castilla level. Like, he scored more goals than anyone in the club's history at that level. So part of the reason why he has scored so many goals this past year in Castilla is because of his movement, his intelligence, and his ability to get into those meaningful positions. So I'm excited about him. It was pretty cool that in the absence of Mbappe, Xabi Alonso in his first game went right to trusting a kid like that. It was telling to me. We got a Victor Munoz cameo, obviously, in the second half for Vinny. That was cool to see. And I'm not entirely sure what it means for Gonzalo Garcia's immediate or long-term future in the squad, but I think this is a player that I'm really interested to see develop and grow, and I'm really curious to know what his role in the team will be. Trent, and not just Trent, but also the idea of Trent. I thought he was a mixed bag today, but mostly underwhelming in his first game. It was a bit of a rough game. Offensively, he didn't look as sharp, although he had an important pass in the build up to the goal. I think his touches looked a little bit off. His passing has looked a little bit off. He delayed some of his passes unnecessarily. Defensively, he's out of position. This is not a surprise, but I wanted to just bring up in the first half how chaotic it was, because in the build-up phase, Trent takes up an inverted right back role, meaning he drifts centrally as an outlet. In that situation, if the team loses possession, your right back is immediately out of the picture. So it's a lot of onus in this particular situation. It's on Asensio because he's playing as a right center back, and he is such an aggressive defender. There was so much chaos that ensued in the first half because of that issue. And I think that's something that the team will have to learn how to cope with, the chaos that comes with Trent as an inverted right back when the team loses possession and the team is holding a high line. You need to be hyper aware, hyper alert. You need to be able to plug those holes. And I trust Xabi Alonso to come up with solutions for that. Dean Howson, the other debutant, obviously, in the Real Madrid team, excellent. Coverage was great on both sides. Build-up play. I mean, he's just so good at carrying the ball. He's so good at counter-pressing in higher positions, which is not necessarily something you attach to a center back, but he can do it really well, and he plays some good through balls. So I was really impressed with Dean Howson. I thought him and Gonzalo Garcia, these guys were among the positive points in Real Madrid's team today. I think Tchouaméni was very good. Tchouaméni's role is very important. And this ties into Real Madrid's press. We didn't see a rabid press from Xabi Alonso today for a couple of reasons. One is that I think people overestimate how much Xabi Alonso wants to have an aggressive press. I think he presses strategically, but he's not that aggressive of a pressing coach. The second thing is that the heat was out of control today, so to run that much for 90 minutes is going to be very difficult. And uh, I just want to point out that there were actually a few good man-to-man high pressing sequences, both on goal kicks and open play in the first half. And if you look at those sequences, and this is more of a general point, not just about today, Chouameni is going to be vital, because what happens is that when Real Madrid have an efficient press, the opposing team launch a long ball because they have no options, and Chouameni is often on the ends of those from an aerial standpoint, and he has such a strong aerial presence that there were a couple times today Real Madrid press, the goalkeeper kicks it long, Chouameni comes up and wins the aerial battle, and Real Madrid have possession. He's also going to be the main central outlet if he's going to play the single pivot. And I know it was kind of a double pivot with Fede today, but there were often times where the ball circulation in the back, and it was Chouameni as the lone outlet in the middle. So I think his role is going to be very important. And Alonso also said, sorry, there's now mosquitoes in addition to this heat, so I don't know where they're coming from. But Alonso also talked about this in the post game. Someone asked him, is there a chance you're going to play five at the back, or is it basically what we saw today? And he said, look, right now we don't have center backs. We don't have the numbers. We had to put Chouameni center back, and he plays really good there, but we don't have enough numbers to do this. And I think that will change, obviously, when everybody comes back, when Rudiger comes back and Militao and Alaba are 100% healthy. But either way, I think Chouameni will have to be unchained from the center back role pretty permanently once everyone comes back, and he's going to have a vital role in midfield. What else do we need to talk about? I know you guys are going to shout at me after this podcast is over because I forgot something. I don't have my computer in front of me to look at my notes to see what I missed. So if I missed something very obvious, I'm going to apologize for that. Rodrigo, pretty quiet. Need more from him. I think Fran Garcia struggles with ball progression still. He's still wildly chaotic and erratic, but he had some good moments as well. Off the ball, he provided Vinny with some solutions, some runs in the half space, and Vinny's passing was so terrible that it didn't really get to him. But I'm really curious to see the Alvaro Carrera situation unfold. Goulier, positive impact in the second half. I thought he brought verticality, he brought control, he brought decisiveness, and he picked up the ball really well. And I think that was part of the shift in Real Madrid getting some control on the ball back. I think I touched on all the talking points I wanted to touch on. And again, if I missed something, I apologize. Doesn't look like the team is doing anything tomorrow. It's a rest day. Friday, they train again. Friday night, we're doing the podcast live in Miami. So if you're in Miami this week, I put the link in the show notes. 6 o'clock, we're doing an in-person podcast. We really want to meet you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys. And then Saturday, we're off to Charlotte. So one more episode. Actually, Lucas is doing Madrid mornings tomorrow for members. So if you want access to that, make sure you're a member. Patreon.com/Managing Madrid. Alternatively, if you're on YouTube, simply hit join underneath this video. There's also a YouTube memberships tab on the Managing Madrid YouTube channel. So make sure you get in on the action. Don't miss it, okay? Kiyan Sobhani signing off. Hala Mari.